Welcome back to The Alcohol Experiment by Annie Grace, read and hosted by me, Melissa O'Malley. We are on day 11. Day 11 is called The Alcohol Culture is Shifting. We always start with a quote. This one is anonymous. It says, "Don't be afraid of being different. Be afraid of being the same as everyone else." So, we're just going to hop into it. Drinking has become so prevalent, so pervasive in our culture, that it's difficult to escape its influence. But there's an amazingly vibrant minority of people who are taking a step back and thinking about that status quo. They found they are participating in something that isn't much fun anymore, and they're choosing to pause and reflect. The result is an entire culture shift around alcohol. I first noticed the shift in some of the super athletes and people who are deeply involved in the fitness and health world. They realized that while they were eating all organic food, exercising, and doing yoga, they were also drinking unknown toxin in excessive amounts. People are waking up and they're starting to question that behavior. Young people are drinking less. The idea that drinking alcohol might not be such a great idea is becoming more prevalent among young people as well. Young people today are drinking much less than their counterparts were 10 years ago. This change is motivated in part by a desire for better health and to buck their parents' drinking trend. I've heard people say that alcohol is their parents' drug, and so these young people are choosing not to drink. According to a recent poll, 66% of adults under 24 years old in America don't feel that alcohol is that important to their life. If you contrast that with older people, the opposite is true. Drinking among older generations, especially women, is going up. In fact, according to a recent study, there's a whopping 107% increase in alcohol use disorder among adults 65 and older, and an 82% increase in alcohol use disorder among those 45 to 65 years old. So, a very intelligent, mindful minority believe that alcohol is less important to their social life than it was to their parents. In fact, the study said that 41% of Generation Y drinkers think alcohol is less important to their own life than it was to their parents' life. I believe social media has contributed to this new attitude too. When your entire life is documented on Instagram and Snapchat, you don't want to be caught drunk or passed out. Seeing videos of their friends' behavior can also be a deterrent. Cutting back is a global phenomenon. Drinking less is not only a local phenomenon, it's global. In the UK, a fifth of British adults under 25 don't drink at all. And that number has been drastically decreasing according to UK's Office for National Statistics. According to the National Drug Strategy Household Survey in Australia, the percentage of teenage drinkers there was cut in half in 2016. And weekly risky drinking among 18 to 24-year-olds dropped from 32 to 22% between 2010 and 2013. The declines are happening across the board in both sexes and in all sorts of socioeconomic strata, and in both urban and rural areas. Similar studies have come out in Canada and Sweden. A UK program called Dry January, in which people stop drinking alcohol for the month, has expanded globally over the years. In 2017, 5 million people signed up to do Dry January. According to research by the Public Health England, 67% of people will cut back their drinking over the rest of the year after participating in Dry January. And 8% of those people will stop drinking completely because they feel so good. Other exciting things show evidence of this trend toward less alcohol consumption. The first alcohol-free bars are opening up in major cities like London and New York City. The first non-alcoholic spirit called Seedlip has come out. And there's an alcoholic-free rave movement called Daybreaker, in which people gather to watch the sunrise and have a massive dance party. You might be surprised to learn that some of the most successful entrepreneurs, musicians, authors, and actors don't drink. This list includes Warren Buffett, Tony Robbins, Tobey Maguire, Stephen King, Daniel Radcliffe, Tyra Banks, Natalie Portman, Jada Pinkett Smith, Bradley Cooper, Larry Ellison, Christina Ricci, Bruce Willis, Eric Clapton, Jim Carrey, David Beckham, Jennifer Lopez, Ben Affleck, Eminem, David Murdoch, Tim McGraw, Keith Urban, Joe Manganiello. Sorry to that man. I don't know that man. And Gerard Butler. There's also a culture of startup entrepreneurs who are no longer drinking. Entrepreneurship comes with intense amounts of stress as men and women work themselves around the clock to achieve success. Many extremely successful entrepreneurs have identified alcohol abstinence as their keystone habit. Suddenly, it's cool to be a non drinker. You're in good company when you choose to break from alcohol. You're actually part of an amazing, vibrant, an amazing, vibrant, and healthy culture shift. Today, keep your eyes open and see if you can catch people not drinking. Notice how many people are choosing iced tea, water, or soda over alcohol, and realize you're not alone. Day 11 journal questions. Remember, all the wisdom you seek is actually inside you. The most important words in this experiment are the ones you tell yourself. Take some time and answer the questions in a journal, a voice memo to yourself, or simply by speaking them out loud for only you to hear. 1. Culture shift. How does it make you feel to hear about the culture shift when it comes to drinking? Excited? Empowered? Reflect on your thoughts about this shift. 2. What if? Imagine that you grew up in a world where alcohol was less accepted in society than it is today. After all, alcohol is the only drug on the planet you have to justify not taking. Imagine that there was no peer pressure to drink when you were younger or in your life today. Imagine that it was just as accepted to not drink as it was to drink. Imagine it was simply seen as a preference rather than an obligation. How do you think that would have changed your relationship to alcohol? Imagine future generations. What would it look like for them if we could change the culture now? How might the future look different in that case? And then we have act number 5. ACT stands for awareness, turnaround, and clarity. No. Awareness, clarity, and turnaround. And this one is called alcohol and happiness. Awareness. For so many of us, alcohol has been central to so many meaningful and fun events in our lives that we blend the two together without thinking. Holidays, birthdays, weddings, celebrations of all kinds practically require alcohol in some form or another. So it's no wonder we feel like alcohol makes us happy. It seems like it's always there when we're having fun. Let's name this belief. Alcohol makes me happy. Clarity. Where did this belief come from? We've been conditioned to believe that drinking makes us happy. We see people on TV and movies and all around us smiling and laughing while drinking. How can we help but smile as the gang shouts, "Norm!" Or Carrie Bradshaw polishes off another Cosmo with her BFFs. We've also experienced this belief in our own lives. When we drink, we think we feel happier because our filters are removed. Isn't it interesting that every time we've been in a fun social setting, there was alcohol involved? These experiments cemented your belief, and alcohol became deeply intertwined with happiness. We feel free to express ourselves without boundaries. We think we're funnier in the life of the party, at least for a little while. So is it true? Does alcohol really make you happy? Let's start by defining what happiness means to you. Does it mean something fleeting and temporary, like a fun evening out? Or is it something more? Take some time to think about this. Write down some situations that describe happiness for you. Then ask yourself, did you always need alcohol to be happy? When you were a kid, did you need a 6-pack before every Little League game? Or did you and your girlfriends play hopscotch with real scotch? The average 4-year-old laughs hundreds of times a day, no alcohol required. Think back and recall the years before you started drinking. Remember those friendships and activities that brought you joy. Okay, now let's talk about how much time you actually spend drinking. I know for me, I would get off work around 6 p.m., and then I'd probably drink until 10 or 11. Then I'd go to bed. I can remember feeling relieved for the first half hour of the evening, happy that my stressful day was over. But I don't remember feeling overly happy and joyous for the other 4 hours. I do remember waking up around 3 o'clock every morning and fretting for at least an hour over what I'd done, worrying about what I might have said or what I might not remember the next day. I remember dreading the morning hangover. Can I say that the few hours of drinking offered enough happiness to overcome the dread and keep me going for the whole next day? No, I can't. For me, it wasn't worth it. The pursuit of happiness is so ingrained into human existence that no matter how happy we are, we're constantly on the hunt for more. When we see others laughing and enjoying themselves, we naturally want what they have. If they have a beer in their hand, we want one too. If they're drinking champagne toasts at midnight, we want to do it too. Whether it's a party, a sporting event, or a concert, did the alcohol actually cause the fun? Or were you in a happy environment and the alcohol wasn't actually the key component? Happiness is at the very heart of advertising, especially alcohol advertising. But there's no balance in advertising. Alcohol actually causes far more unhappiness than happiness. It slows our minds and chemically depresses us. The ads never show the unhappiness that alcohol causes. You don't see the middle of the night anxiety or tears because we've broken our promises to ourselves. You don't see the drunken fights where people who love each other are now screaming at each other like they're mortal enemies. You don't see the morning after neglect that children suffer because their parents have painful hangovers and can't get out of bed. You don't see the emotional, physical, and sexual abuse. You don't see the drunk driver's face after they cause a fatal accident. You don't see the husband taking his own life because he's lost everything: his family, his job, his money, his home, his self respect. You don't see the arguments and fistfights. You don't see the violent crimes. You don't see the unwanted pregnancies. In short, you don't see the sheer and unrelenting misery that alcohol can cause. Drinking doesn't just make the drinker unhappy, it makes the people around them unhappy too. How many times does a spouse have to put up with their partner coming home drunk and starting a fight before they decide to leave? How many jobs does a drinker have to go through before they lose their family's home? How long will a girlfriend put up with mediocre sex and frequent hangovers before she decides she can do better? The damage alcohol does in our society is so widespread. We all have a story about alcohol and how it has destroyed someone we know. And the children. Alcohol's effects on children is heartbreaking. The whole world revolves around their parents. Their minds, bodies, and beliefs are tied to their parents' behavior. They model what they see and hear. Do they hear people at the bar laughing at their mom's jokes? Or do they hear her sharp tone with them when she gets home? The alcohol is wearing off and her anger is flaring. Do they see groups of friends enjoying an evening concert? Or do they see the hangover in the morning? What about when it gets really bad, leading to emotional or even physical abuse? And children of alcoholics are up to 4 times more likely to develop alcohol addiction in later life. It's a terrible cycle, all based on the false belief that drinking makes us happy. But maybe you think I'm being extreme here. Maybe you've never gone to such extremes, and that post-work drink is a harmless habit that seems to make you happy. But here's the question: does it actually make you happier overall? It's true, there's a bit of a rush when alcohol first enters your system. Alcohol is an interesting substance because it is both a stimulant and a depressant. Alcohol acts as a temporary stimulant just after it enters your system while your blood alcohol content is rising. A rising BAC affects the parts of your brain responsible for elation and excitement. But after only 20 to 30 minutes, Your BAC starts to fall and the depressive effects take over. And people report feeling uneasy, sad, lonely, restless, and generally unhappy. Since the rush doesn't last and you end up feeling worse than you did before that first drink because of a falling BAC, you need another hit to keep the BAC rising. But in that initial nice, but that initial nice tipsy feeling never quite comes back in the same way, no matter how many drinks you consume. You drink more and more to get that rush back. But the more alcohol you consume, the duller your senses become. Your perceptions change, and you can no longer access how drunk you are. It's possible to keep the BAC rising for 4 hours or so, but once your BAC crosses a certain threshold, 0.05 or 0.06, the alcohol becomes a downer, even if your BAC continues to rise. What's more is that the longer you keep drinking, the longer it's going to take for your BAC to come back down. And that means 10 or more hours of feeling uneasy, anxious, upset, and even depressed. How fun is that? Look at it logically. If a little alcohol makes you happy, shouldn't a lot of alcohol make you happier? So, how come the more you drink, the less you feel that euphoria? The more you drink, the more likely you'll do or say something embarrassing. The more you drink, the more likely you'll feel terrible in the morning. How can that possibly be defined as happiness? But we all see friends and family giggling, joking, and enjoying themselves while drinking. Have you ever stopped to consider that maybe they'd be enjoying themselves as much, if not more, without the drinks? Maybe it's the occasion and not the alcohol providing the happiness. It's hard to separate the occasion from the drink, though, because drinking is completely intertwined with every social event we attend. Yet, yet, when I look back now, it's almost a joke how much happier I am without drinking. I can finally truly enjoy social occasions for what they are, a chance to hang out with my friends and have a good time. Whether they're drinking or not doesn't affect my own enjoyment. Only after alcohol has completely left your system can you fully realize that, yes, you can feel joy and happiness and incredible energy levels on a consistent basis. When does the fun begin? Let's consider this from a different angle. Think back to the last good time you had fun drinking. Maybe it was last night, maybe it was a few hours ago. Think about when exactly the fun began. At what at what point did you start to feel good about the experience? Because I usually drink after work, my fun began the minute I'd walk out of my office. It was like I could finally breathe. The workday was done. I could relax. I'd already I'd already be feeling good just anticipating spending the next few hours doing something fun. I'd reach for my first glass of wine with a smile on my face. For me, these feelings began 15 to 20 minutes or so before I even took my first sip. The anticipation of having the rest of the evening in front of me made me feel good. The same thing happens with the Friday effect. It's Friday night. You've got the whole weekend ahead of you, and you're feeling good. Naturally, you celebrate with a few beers down at the pub with your mates. Ordering that first round gets you into the weekend mood, right? But the cheering and excitement and fun happen well before any alcohol has had time to take effect on your body. You don't even have the drink in front of you yet. So you ask yourself, when does the fun actually begin? Is it when you're drinking, or is it the anticipation beforehand that kicks things off? Could the fun actually be coming from the connection you have to the people and places you frequent when you drink? Also ask yourself, how do I define fun? What does it mean for you? And how does alcohol make things fun? How does it make you happy? True connection and pleasure come from consciously experiencing a moment in time. You have to be present and aware of what's happening around you for it to register as happiness in your brain. But alcohol's chemical effect on your mind is the exact opposite of being present and aware. Alcohol numbs your physical and emotional experience. It makes you less and less aware as the night goes on until you can't even remember what happened the next morning. Turnaround. The opposite of alcohol makes me happy is alcohol makes me sad or alcohol doesn't make me happy. Come up with as many ways you can think of that the opposite is as true or truer in your life than the original belief. Try the happiness exercise. The world's leading happiness researcher, Barbara Fredrickson, says the 10 most positive emotions that combine to create the emotion we call happiness are joy, gratitude, serenity, interest, hope, pride, amusement, inspiration, awe, and love. I want you to take the time to do the short happiness exercise because it will completely shift your subconscious feelings about alcohol in a truly profound way. Please write your answers down on a piece of paper because writing cements your thoughts into your subconscious. Consider each of these emotions one at a time. Take the first one, joy, and write down all the ways alcohol increases joy in your life. Take as much time as you need, and then write down all the ways alcohol robs you of joy in your life. Think about your reality now, not what life used to be like or what you hope life will be like in the future. Right now, how does alcohol add joy? How does it take joy away? Then go on to gratitude. Ask yourself the same questions and follow that with the next emotion, continuing until you've covered all 10. Joy, gratitude, serenity, interest, hope, pride, amusement, inspiration, awe, and love. This exercise will give you an incredible perspective on how much joy you're truly receiving from alcohol and how much you're losing. Research has shown that only 10% of our overall happiness depends on external things, whether that's a new car, a relationship, or alcohol. Things don't make us happy. 90% depends on our internal environment. How relaxed are we? How confident? How peaceful? You have the power to make changes that will truly make you happy. And that's great news because while we can't always change our outer environment, we can absolutely influence what's going on internally. That's day 11. Oh, it's good stuff. Tomorrow is day 12, and it's called Your Incredible Body and Brain. And there's another ACT exercise called Is Alcohol Healthy in Moderation? So I hope you're doing well. Take really good care of yourselves. Let me know if I can support you in any ways, and I will see you tomorrow.